January 12, 2018, five Supreme Court judges came out in an unprecedented manner to address a historic and first such press conference by sitting Supreme Court judges. And they said democracy is in a danger. For a judicial system that often bears the blame of being shrouded in secrecy, that was rare. Now, almost 5 years later, on January 19th, the Supreme Court Collegium, led by Chief Justice of India DY Chandrachud, has once again done something that is quite unprecedented. The Supreme Court Collegium has issued a public letter and reiterated the names of 3 judges recommended by the Collegium. The government had taken objection to these 3 names, citing various reasons. The Collegium has now responded to these objections, explaining why it does not think the objections are valid. Now, this may seem like a normal, regular exchange between the 2 arms of democracy, but the fact that the Collegium has made it available in public domain, has put it on record, that's what makes it a very important issue for us to discuss. Hello, my name is Aarti, and today in this video we are going to discuss about the unprecedented letter from Supreme Court Collegium to the government. But before that, if you are watching this video on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe to our channel, you like this video and you comment below it. If you are watching on Facebook, then please follow our page. Now you can also access our articles, videos and live TV on our app. So if you haven't already, download HW News Network app on your Android Play Store. Gay relationship, sharing articles critical of Prime Minister Modi on social media, criticizing government's important policies. These are some of the reasons cited by the government while taking objection to at least 3 names recommended by the Supreme Court Collegium for the appointment to the High Courts. These objections and the response to it were put on record by the Supreme Court in a first of its kind move yesterday. In its statement published on the Supreme Court website, the Collegium revealed in detail why the central government objected to the candidature of various persons recommended by the judges' body for elevation to High Courts. Apart from that, the Supreme Court Collegium reiterated the names of the 5 advocates for elevation to various High Courts. In the last video, I have spoken about how the collegium system works and how judges are appointed and what is the role of the law ministry in it. Now, the Supreme Court had recommended the names of following 5 advocates for elevation: Saurabh Kirpal to Delhi High Court, Somasekaran Sundaresan, Bombay High Court, John Satyan to Madras High Court, Amitesh Banerjee and Sakya Sen for Calcutta High Courts. Reiterating these names in the letter, the Supreme Court Collegium that comprises Chief Justice of India DY Chandrachud, Justice Sanjay Kishan Kaul and Justice K.M. Joseph has countered the objections raised by the Law Ministry. Not only that, the Collegium has also asked the government to clear the names expeditiously. It was only on January 6th that the Supreme Court raised extreme concern over the 10 recommendations for the transfer of High Court judges pending with the government and said keeping it pending sends a very wrong signal that other factors are coming into play. Now let's go over the names recommended and reiterated by the Supreme Court, the objections raised by the centre and the Collegium's reply to it. Number 1, Saurabh Kirpal. The first question is, who is he? Senior advocate at Delhi High Court, he is an openly gay person and stays in Delhi with his partner. SC Collegium recommendation, elevation to Delhi High Court. Now, what are the reasons cited by RAW to not appoint him to the High Court of Delhi? Kirpal is open about his sexual orientation and his partner being a Swiss national, which could bring up national security reasons. Now, what was Law Ministry's response to it? The Law Ministry said that Kirpal's passionate attachment to the cause of gay rights would not rule out the possibility of his bias and prejudice. Although homosexuality stands decriminalized in India, same-sex marriage remains bereft of recognition either in codified statutory law or uncodified personal law. What was Collegium's counter to it? Number 1, there is no reason to presuppose that the partner of a candidate who is a Swiss national would be inimically disposed to our country since the country of his origin is a friendly nation. Many persons in high positions, including present and past holders of constitutional offices, have had spouses who are foreign nationals. Number 2, it would be contrary to the constitutional principle if Kirpal is denied judgeship because of his sexual orientation. The Constitution Bench of the Supreme Court has in the past established that every individual is entitled to maintain their own dignity and individuality based on sexual orientation. He has not kept his sexual orientation any secret. Number 2 is Somasekaran Sundaresan. Who is he? Advocate at Bombay High Court, extensive experience in the areas of security laws, mergers and acquisition and foreign investment. Now, what was the Supreme Court recommendation? Elevation as judge to Bombay High Court. What was government's objection to it? He has expressed his views on social media on several matters and has been selectively critical of important policies, initiatives and directions of the government. What was Collegium's counter to it? Number 1, his views on social media are no ground to infer that he is a biased person. The manner in which the candidate has expressed his views does not justify the inference that he is a highly biased, opinionated person or that he has been selectively critical on the social media on important policies, initiatives and directions of the government. Number 2, no indications that the expressions used by the candidate are suggestive of his links with any political party with strong ideological leanings. All citizens have the right to free speech and expression under Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution. Expression of views by a candidate does not disentitle him to hold a constitutional office so long as the person proposed for judgeship is a person of competence, merit and integrity. Third name is R. John Satyan. Who is he? Lawyer practicing at Madras High Court. He specializes in criminal cases. What was the Supreme Court recommendation? To make him judge of the Madras High Court. Elevation of him as Madras High Court judge. What was the reason given by IB? Number 1, he shared an article published in the Quint which was critical of Prime Minister Modi. Number 2, in another post he termed the committing of suicide by medical aspirant Anita in Tamil Nadu, who ended her life in 2017 since she was unable to clear NEET exam, as a killing by political betrayal, and he also used a tag stating "Shame of you India." What was the Collegium's counter to this? Number 1, the Intelligence Bureau has reported that he enjoys, that is, the candidate enjoys a good personal and professional image and that nothing adverse has come to notice against his integrity. Number 2, Satyan belongs to the Christian community. The IB report notes that he does not have any overt political leanings. Now, next two names are Amitesh Banerjee and Sakya Sen. Collegium recommended their elevation as Calcutta High Court judges. The Collegium statement says that the same objections which were earlier rejected by the Collegium were repeated by the Centre this time as well. The Collegium categorically said that Centre cannot repeatedly return proposals with the same objections which were earlier considered by Collegium. Now, this letter of the Supreme Court Collegium comes at a time when the Law Minister Kiren Rijiju wrote a letter to CJI DY Chandrachud suggesting him to include Centre's representative in the process for deciding judges' appointment just last week. What is remarkable about this letter of Supreme Court is that the institution that has often been criticized for its internal opaqueness, lack of transparency, openly stating what transpired behind the veil of opaqueness and putting it on record. This sort of pushback has surely drawn fresh battle lines between the government and the Collegium. But the question is, how long will this back and forth between the two go on? Do let us know what you think about this in the comment box below. For more news and updates, you can log on to www.hwnews.in.
Now be the first to know about the latest updates on our new news app. Go on your Android or iOS, search for HW News Network. Download our app, choose the language you prefer to get updates in, and be up to date with the latest news.